Hello everyone.
Hey,
Hello, guys.
Hello, welcome to the Cheat Code Realcast, where we dive into real use cases of technology implementation, especially AI, and explore how these solutions can be applied easily and understandably.
we start with the news. So let's introduce Rafael, our guest today.
Hello, guys. My name is Rafael. Good to see you guys. Glad to be on this podcast.
Thanks for joining us, Rafael. So let's maybe kick the ice and start to see what is happening nowadays. And I would really like to hear your opinion on that, guys. But I was actually obsessed with the news that ChatGPT has introduced this SDK for the third-party apps that are now available inside the GPT environment. I was actually waiting for that since the new year because to me it was kind of very useful and user friendly to have a conversational interface while performing your common everyday tasks. So you can actually do hiking, bicycling, doing whatever you like, and chat with your favorite chatbot and asking to prepare some basic stuff. But it definitely has certain limitations. So for, let's say, everyday tasks and some simple things, it might be useful, but for more complex professional tasks, it would definitely not be enough, and it will require a native interface.
Interesting. Does it mean that we will have soon only one application and our phone, ChatGPT, and that's all?
Well, it seems like the world is going into that direction, but obviously the market competition and absence of a certain leader would be good for the end users, of course, because as long as we have competition, we have tools that are developing and reinvesting in their growth. I don't know, Rafael, what do you think on that?
I mean, I understand that this SDK is similar to Claude's MCP, so Model Context Protocol, something similar to that, I assume. To be honest, people are very into AI agents nowadays, and they like to have a user interface that's very, very simple. And for us developers, it's easier to code with AI agents. But I do understand, and I have seen that some applications are going to need a UI. So perhaps a mixture of both is where we're headed.
Oh, that's great. And can you explain to those who are not that good in tech, what do you mean by AI agent, and where is the, let's say, the break line between the AI chatbot and agent?
Okay, so a chatbot is essentially just a generic interface where you can ask generic questions to ChatGPT. And to be honest, ChatGPT has agents. If you've used deep research or if you've asked it certain questions, uploaded certain documents, it's sort of that we can call an AI agent. AI agents are more advanced tools that usually ChatGPT or generic chatbots, let's put it that way, can't really offer. So they perform certain tasks, and for example, they can be used to tackle enterprise problems.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's a good breakdown.
Yeah,
So Valentina, let's drill down into the our special questions where we are trying to define the cheat codes from our guests, innovators, pioneers in technology, in artificial intelligence, in business automation, and try to find out a way how to go through the AI transformation and not break legs during this process.
absolutely. Yeah, so Rafael, welcome to our podcast. It would be great to hear about your story, about your background, and what are you working on right now.
Okay, so I'll try to be as concise as possible. We can stay here just on this question all day. So I'm a physicist. I studied physics, specialized in quantum computing. And I did a quite a big switch to classical computing, which is obviously coding and normal computers. So I'm a developer now, AI engineer, and a bit of everything. So I do full stack. So I can do front end, which is the development of user interfaces. I can do back end, which is sort of the business logic of everything, and also AI, data science, and DevOps, which is sort of deploying all of this kind of applications in the cloud or in servers. And I started my own company or a startup about a year and a half ago, close to 2 years now. And what we do is we develop AI agents specifically for other businesses. So we have two divisions. We have a consultancy division where we create AI agents that are specific tasks that have not been created before, specific tasks that we work with clients to achieve and to create for them. And we also have the scalable tools division. So we have products, basically. We have AI agents that are ready to deploy client side that have a broad spectrum of applications and could be used or reused rather for multiple clients. So that's our approach right now.
Wow, wow, sounds interesting. And who are your clients? I just wonder.
So for the moment, we have quite a varied sector of clients. We have a hotel chain as for our consultancy division. Is Grupo El Fuerte. They are here in Marbella and Costa del Sol. We also have a agrotech startup that uses one of our agents called Borg Analytics to ask so that their farmers can ask questions in natural language through a WhatsApp interface about their data. So they can ask questions about their stock, their inventory, and how long they're going to run out of stock. They can ask all these questions and connect to their database using just natural language interface. But now we're working with bigger clients. We have a very, very big signature that we just signed this month. It's civil engineering company. About 200 engineers are going to be using our document platform, which we call Borg Intelligence. It's a new way of searching and asking questions over your unstructured data. In this case, civil engineering projects, and it's working very, very well. So they've signed with us, and we started developing literally this week for them.
Great, congratulations to this project.
Thank you so much.
Great news.
Amazing.
Uh,
Thank you.
can you maybe explain a little bit on, let's say, on the business side? What kind of business problem does it solve, and what's the difference, let's say, compared to how they did before?
Okay, so specifically for Borg Intelligence, what we saw is that companies spend a lot of time searching through their old data manually. So perhaps they need to reference a project or some information of a certain project in the past. When you have thousands of these documents, and some of these documents are maybe thousands of pages long, you need a system, or you'd want a system that can find that information that you're looking for instantly. So in this case, I can give you an example. So they, in the demo that we did for them, they asked, what was that project that we did in Tarragona, so Barcelona, Catalunya, where we redid the center for the town hall, but we had to cut the lines for Telefonica. So they had to cut the telephone lines. And the system is able to find the relevant document, and then you can load it into the interface and ask any questions about the internal contents of the document. And that's how people remember. Usually people remember what they did in a certain project, not the exact date. They don't remember a specific ID that the project uses. They remember what they did in the project and who they did it for. And this system is able to find these documents in sort of a human way.
So it's, can we say that this is an extension to the human's memory?
I guess we can be pretty and call it like that. We can prettify it a little bit. The system is very intuitive, and it works with the user to find what you're looking for.
I guess it saves an enormous amount of time.
Yes, that's. I mean, the validation is there, right? They signed with us, so they're obviously very happy with what they saw in the demo. And we're extending. We did 100 documents, which is already quite a lot of information. They're extending. We're extending to all their internal database, so that would be about 1,000 documents.
That sounds impressive. And is it kind of a typical type of a client do you plan to serve, or is just one of the possible scenarios where you can see the Borg usage?
So this is one of the typical scenarios, I would say, because the algorithm is basically the searching algorithm works with all types of unstructured data. So it would work with photos as well. You could even classify and search through photos, right? So we're already working with a lawyer firm in Malaga, Urbanismo. So they are lawyers dedicated to like building buildings, housing, etc. And they have around 2.3 terabytes of PDFs and documents that are unstructured, all in a network attached storage. So basically, a hard drive somewhere. And the owner can spend maybe sometimes from 6 hours to a week trying to find something that they want to reference to.
Mhm.
And obviously, it's a huge waste of time for them. So this is something that we are already working with lawyers and notaries, for example, even medical records. It could, but these are medical records like hospitals. They're not clients we have yet, but obviously the algorithm, we know it would work.
Hmm. And does it? I mean, I'm trying to draw the lines on how to understand it for a regular user. When I use Google Photos, for example, I need to find, let's say, a photo of the document. I'm typing in search document or photo paper, and it's trying to find the photo. Is it similar, or it can even find the text inside the images? Like how deep can a customer expect the system will be smart?
Well, as I understand, Google Photos and Notebook LM. Notebook LM is a service by Google. They basically offer sort of a searching algorithm that looks through your data, right? They all use vector databases and embeddings. So we're getting a bit technical here. It's pretty much what everybody's been using to do what we call RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation, essentially finding the right context to give to the LLM so that it can answer your questions, right?
Yeah.
Our algorithm is completely different. So it doesn't use RAG. It doesn't it for RAG. It doesn't use any vector databases, no embeddings. It's a completely new way and sort of a shift in the paradigm of how we search through things. So to answer your question, it all depends on the quality of these pictures. If these pictures have readable text, then yes, it would be able to. I mean, it's not magic, right? So if it has readable text, it will be able to sort of look through that as the searching algorithm.
Hmm. And you said that it doesn't use RAG, and what is how is it different, and why do you select it to go different way?
So it is RAG, it is retrieval augmented generation. It just doesn't use vector databases.
Hmm.
The reason we don't use vector databases, and I don't want to get too technical here, is that it doesn't work for complex unstructured data. So if you want to search for something within a document, let's say a sentence or a paragraph, vector DBs can help. For example, frequently asked questions. That's pretty good for vector DBs. But in this case, we're dealing with very complex documents, and we don't want to search something specifically inside the document. We want to search for the document itself. So the context gets really lost and mixed up with vector DBs. Whereas in this case, our searching algorithm can find the general context without sort of getting it mixed up. It's a bit. I just don't want to get too technical. So it's a bit in layman's terms. So I can do a bit of a deep dive if you want.
Now, just trying to draw the prominent lines so that the audience can understand why do you specifically use different approach, and why is it better? Maybe it is more sustainable, or it is more accurate, or it drives the results faster.
It is much more accurate. So vector DBs just don't work with complex documents. Exactly.
So this is where the bottom line is. All
Yeah,
right.
because a complex document can have many different topics, and our searching algorithm is able to detect all of those different topics. Whereas if you use a vector DB, those topics sort of get mush together and they lose meaning almost.
Interesting. But why does the other AI providers use the same approach? Is it like your unique intellectual property, or?
Pretty much. It's completely unique. There's not much. I mean, maybe there's something out there. For what our research so far, there's nothing that we've seen. Obviously, we can't research the entire internet, but we haven't seen anything similar. And it works really, really, really well for complex documents in this case. So vector DBs. We tried using vector DBs. I mean, we wanted to do the same thing for legal documents, jurisprudence in this case, and vector DBs just never worked because of the inherent architecture behind it. So this is why we shifted to this sort of new way of searching through complex documents, complex and structured data. Really, it's that's what encompasses the whole searching.
Amazing. Rafael, and in terms of implementation, what I usually heard from clients that okay, it might be a great solution, but for them it's very scary to implement that in their operation because obviously they have some security, some data from their clients, and they may be afraid that information might be stolen or etc. How do you deal with that kind of affairs?
So we're privacy first centered startup. So in fact, that was our initial sort of offering after we pivoted more to AI agents. But initially, what we offered was we can install everything on your servers, including the large language models, right? So we can take care of selecting the servers in case you don't have them, and we can deploy all the infrastructure, models, user interfaces, user management, everything on well, I'm going to get a little technical, so I do apologize. It's on a Kubernetes cluster, right? Which is basically a production grade server where everything or your environment is running, right? Um, so for cases where data is very, very sensitive, we always recommend deploying straight on client side, and that's something that we do offer. It is true that the cost increases quite a bit because you need servers that you need to buy and that you need to maintain, right? Obviously, we can do the maintenance for them. So what we found is that most clients are, I'd rather worry about privacy later. Maybe that's not the best approach, but they prefer having the tools and having the time savings first. And obviously, we recommend always going for a demo first, so that they see that the privacy is preserved, but also that they see that the tool works. So we offer POCs with a subset of the data so that the client themselves can try it for a period of time and they can be happy that they're purchasing the right solution for their problem.
Great, amazing. And if you please can maybe explain in more details your recent use cases of implementation of your solution, maybe share with us some numbers, like results. What did you have?
Yeah, so far, our first big client for Borg Intelligence and our first client really, we just finished the development of the document platform. We call it document platform. Um, we finalized it about a month ago, and we did the demo basically a week later with them. So we just started development with them, right? So we don't have any metrics on how we can client retention, for example, or how many hours they've saved. But the demo was very, very successful, and they were the ones asking the questions at the demo. It wasn't just me and a control demo. They were the ones who were able to ask the questions, and they were very, very happy with the results. So this is why they signed with us. And we offer, obviously there needs to be an integration fee because obviously there's a deployment of all this kind of stuff, and there is a pre-processing of all the data first. And once that's done, we secure a recurrent revenue basically. So we secure a maintenance and a subscription fee, and they have full access, unlimited access to their 200 engineers for to this document platform basically.
Wow, sounds great.
And I mean, it sounds like you solved a big problem to that client, but how much time did it take from, let's say, from start to the end of these integration cycle. So, for example, if there will be a similar client, how much time would they have to expect the setup process would take?
A couple of days. Usually, we are the ones waiting on the client while they get themselves ready and organized, especially with big clients. Also, it is true that September is a complicated month because everybody comes back from summer and they have a lot of backlog, things to do. So we're the ones usually waiting on the client to sort of get their things in order, their affairs in order, and then usually we can get things done in a matter of days. So the demo with about 100 of documents, which is about a tenth of what they're going to give us, we had it ready in about 2 3 days, and I'm not counting. We were still developing the sort of the beast, right? We were still developing the beast a little bit, so obviously it took us a bit longer. But I would say once the beast was developed, it took us about 2 days to have everything ready for them.
Hmm, gotcha. And do you use like your own unique engine that stands behind it, or you're reusing some big players' models like OpenAI, Claude, whatever?
Oh yeah, we don't have our own models. We use Claude, we use Gemini from Google because of the large context window, and we use ChatGPT, so we use OpenAI. We're not using any open source models because, as I said, the cost really increases, especially when you have to get GPUs, which is where the models sort of live, and the GPUs are the sort of the hardware. I'm sure you've all heard of NVIDIA and how rich they've become. This is because of AI. All these large language models require huge GPU compute, and it's such a huge investment. So we use nowadays the cost per token. So essentially, what they charge you, what OpenAI charges you for using, for passing text, right? The cost per token is very, very cheap nowadays. So there was no incentive for us to sort of build our own infrastructure and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, euros on building a GPU cluster. So yes, we're using all we're using from big players are these models, foundational models as they call. All our stack, so the agent side of things, how it behaves, and the programming behind it is completely ours, proprietary.
Gotcha. And what's the difference? Well, one, let's say, which of the provider, Gemini, Claude, or OpenAI, when is the best case to use each of those? And maybe what are the pros and cons of using those models?
All right, so I would mainly they're very very similar in terms of performance. I would mainly cut it to pricing and context window length. So we use Claude a lot.
Yeah.
We really like Claude. It helps us to code. It's very, very good at coding. To be honest, so are the others, but we feel like Claude has an edge on that. And it has a decent context window, which is 200,000 tokens. Um, ChatGPT is sort of a middle ground, gives very, very good results, and is very reliable. But their context window is not that big. I think that's something they need to work on. So it's only 128K tokens. And Gemini, and it's something that I really like about Google and what they've done is that their context window, so it's the amount of data that it can process basically, is about 1 million tokens. And that helps us a lot in our document platform because some of the documents, especially with this civil engineering company, they are very, very massive documents. We're talking about PDFs with thousands of pages. So it really helps when the model can process that much more data in a single sort of API call.
We are speaking a lot about tokens. Can you break it down a little bit to understand? So, for example, what is the size of the token?
So usually a word is between 2 and 3 tokens, depending on the length of the word. So these are the units of data that the model understands, right? So if you have about 1,000 words, usually is between 3,000 and 4,000 tokens, something like that. Um, so these words are called, well, they're tokenized into smaller bits, and that's what the model understands. That's how the model's been trained on. And these sort of, because models and machines, they don't understand words, they understand numbers. So these words need to get transformed into numbers. And then going a bit back with what I talked about embeddings and vector DBs, they then get embedded. They get passed through a different model that essentially
Hmm.
vectorizes them. Now we're getting a bit technical, but all it does, it assigns more dimensions to the to that particular word, to that particular token rather, and that's how the model is able to understand context and meaning.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's very
That's
informative.
interesting.
Yeah, but let's maybe go
Yeah.
to the a little bit the different directions. Let's get back to the clients. Rafael, just curious to know what is your ideal client? How do you see your application can get the most value in what like niche areas?
So, we since we're dealing with our division, a consultancy division as well. I mean, it's difficult to answer this question because we work with a whole plethora of clients. I mean, we just signed a big deal with a retailer in Valencia. They sell all types of like collection grade figurines, like from all the different franchises, like I don't know, Harry Potter, and it's a very lucrative business. So we're working with them to sort of give visibility into their business and analytics, because they need AI driven decisions. At this point, they've gotten along this far, sort of on intuition, and it's worked well. But they have a lot of stock that they're not been able to solve, and sort of they've had some losses there. The fact that it's going so well for them, I mean, I guess we could call them a bit lucky. So now they are very, very interested in making better decisions and better stock purchase decisions, and where this kind of brand or this kind of franchise sells where the best. So they have online shopping and they also have physical stores. They want a really deep dive into what sells best where, right? So that they can do the distribution accordingly. Now, for our scalable division, obviously, as I mentioned, we work with big clients right now for Borg Intelligence, but we're working with medium-sized enterprise. I would call them small to medium-sized enterprises, like the lawyer firm in Malaga, right? So obviously, big clients means big deals, means big money and big recognition. But obviously, we don't want to forget about the little guy, let's say, because we are the little guys as well. We just started growth, and we can't forget obviously about the smaller size business, right? So I don't really have an ideal client type at this stage. So we work with whoever has the need at the moment, and thankfully we have our plate full at the moment. So I can't really complain on that area.
Interesting. Yes, I think it's okay at the beginning to try to apply your solution in different areas, and just to see afterwards where you can be get the most value in which areas. Yeah, maybe we can do a next podcast in half a year just to check where you would be at this time. Amazing. And Denise, do you have more questions?
Yeah, I'm actually very excited about the opportunities and possibilities that businesses, like each and every business, are having, from the very small startup to the big tech enterprise. But if you look from the let's say from the business perspective, and especially from those businesses that are thinking of um, employing AI and trying to automate and make more wiser decisions. What do you think is the major blocker for these businesses? What holds them back from going into the transformation?
So instead of giving you a blocker, I would say I would give you what they need, and they need honesty and transparency. It's very easy as a business owner that's not technical to get lost in this whole world and start applying AI everywhere. And most of the time, we've worked with clients that have wanted AI in specific workflows or processes in their business that we saw very clearly that don't need AI, right? So I know it's a whole revolution, and we're in the AI business, but we're very honest when we tell our clients that you need AI here, but not specifically here, right? So it's very important. Um, I don't know. I guess you have to get lucky and have someone that's honest with you and tells you the truth, right? Because otherwise, you're gonna have people that are gonna sell you services that you don't really need. right? So yeah, important to, and honestly, nowadays you can ask ChatGPT about everything, right? So don't be scared. Go on ChatGPT, ask it questions. It's going to give you very, very high level answers to some of your needs, and you're going to be able to make, or at least get a second opinion, right? But yeah, I would say honesty and transparency would be, the most important things that business owners need to receive from their AI partners in order to not feel like they've been scammed later down the line when they realize, well, we could have just automated this, with a program, right, instead of having to use AI for everything. So it's the right tool for many different workflows and processes, but it's not always relevant, and it's not always the best tool for absolutely everything.
Is there any, let's say, any cheat code for the business founder how to understand that this
Because yeah,
is the best use case, and this is something that the AI partner is trying to sell me because I cannot understand the difference.
well, the business owner knows very well the processes, right? Maybe he's trying to automate it and he understands that it can be automated, but he doesn't know how, right? Because he doesn't understand the technical difficulties. I'm pretty sure, or I would say I'm 100% sure, if you explain your problem to ChatGPT or any of these models we've talked about, it's going to give you very, very, very good guidance, either for free because you don't have to pay sometimes for these models, or if you're paying 20, what is it, $20 a month for this kind of thing, you've got a consulting level like grade
Hmm.
um, sort of partner there that is going to be 100% honest with you and is going to tell you what at least give you a very good insight of what could be done in terms of programming, in terms of automation, in terms of whether AI is really necessary for your processes. And there's nobody that knows their pains and problems and their internal processes like a business owner. So, I would always get a second opinion. And I mean, I use ChatGPT for a lot of things. Just not even about coding or even about our AI agents. I use it for a lot of things, and I like to ask and receive a second opinion. For many different topics. So it's a very easy and fast way to get some of the answers you may be looking for.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, having such a wise and acknowledged consultant as chatbot is just a gift. However, sometimes it's trying to please you, and I do have these issues with ChatGPT quite a lot of times when it's trying to, you know, go all in and saying things that are or impossible to implement, or it assumes that it's possible, but when I drill dive deeper into it and asking how exactly it is possible, then it says like, oh, no, 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 I rely on some basic information, but when you look deeper it is not possible. So maybe if you take the human opinion, let's say your advice on what is essential to, like, what are the essential processes or maybe parts of the processes in business that are important to put on AI rails now, and what are the things that you would definitely not recommend to touch?
Well, obviously, I'm gonna answer very broadly, but things that can be automated, old school. Why put AI in it? I mean, there's no point. You know. Um, I would say tasks that can't that deal with unstructured data, which is either huge amounts of text, or for example, you want to classify emails for your leads. You have lead generation pipeline, and you want to classify your emails with the intent of the maybe you want to sell, I don't know, houses. You're in real estate, right? And you get a lot of leads per day, right? So you don't want to go through those emails yourself. You could have someone go through emails yourself and achieve pretty much the same result as if you had an AI agent sort of classify those leads for you, and then have an actual human sort of tackle those sort of the hotter leads, right? Leads that actually want to. There's a ton of processes. So off the top of my head, I can't. We can go into huge amount of detail with many examples, but just as I said that the business owner needs honesty and transparency, the AI consultant also needs honesty and transparency from the owner, right? We need full visibility into what processes they're currently doing, and we need to understand their business very well, almost as good as they do, so that we're able to help them where they need help, right? We want to automate what actually can be automated with AI, right? And recommend what shouldn't be used, with shouldn't be automated rather with AI.
I think
And is there any?
it's a very good
Yeah, go
point.
for it, Valentina.
Absolutely. Based on my experience, I noticed it a few times that the founder itself, he doesn't know how this processes works, because always he has people who were changing constantly, and even he doesn't know how to organize it. So maybe the first step would be just for founder to organize some processes in his company, and then if he like has this transparent vision on those processes, to go to the AI specialist and to ask them how they can optimize. It's how I understand that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering, is there any, let's say, bottom line where when the business owner should employ um, an integrator or a solution provider, and what are the things that they can do alone? I mean, internally, if they have some tech team or some enthusiasts inside the business, maybe an operation manager who is looking at AI courses and trying to figure out how it works. Where is this line on do it yourself? Maybe use, let's say, AI SaaS apps, or call to you, for example, and say, "Hey guys, I need that to be done automatically. I don't want to think about it. Just do it."
Complexity. That would be sort of the difference, right? If you have, first of all, I wouldn't say complexity on the side of like the developer that's maybe learning AI inside a company, for example. It really comes down to these AI SaaS, right? You've heard from like NA10 or Maker, right? It's like build your own AI agent.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, and they work very well and very like for simple tasks. They have Gmail integration. For me, I would have to build the whole Gmail API and all this kind of stuff, connect to it. So I would recommend literally for things, very simple things, use NA10 or Maker, right? The moment we start talking about complex tasks, let's talk about maybe Borg intelligence there, something much more complicated, then you need, or some custom development, then obviously then you need to cross that line into a company that can provide those services for you, whether they're custom or whether they have the right tool for the job.
And how, like, at which level of complexity it starts to. And do you do, by the way, do you do these NA10 and make connections, or this is out of your business?
We don't. We can help specific. We can direct them to those tools. We're very honest with our clients. I think we want to build long lasting relationships. So if there's a better tool for the job or a readily available tool for the job, we're going to direct them towards it. At the end of the day, if we're doing consulting, we're doing consulting. If they're looking for one of our specifically one of our tools, then obviously there's no talk about anything else, right? But if what they need is advice, then we have no problem directing them towards them. But we don't really dabble in Maker or NA10. At the end of the day, it's something that is worth for the client to understand himself, and it's worth going through the process of setting it up yourself, right? There are tools that are very, very easy to use, very intuitive, and there's tons of courses online that are free. So in that case, for very sort of simple things, and anything that N8N can offer, go with N8N or go with Maker or Zapier. There's many, many use cases that you can already get started with, and it's very, very cheap. I think it's 20, 30 euros a month. Obviously, as you grow, maybe you need to pay a bit more, but they're very cheap services and they do their tasks very well. But obviously, it's not complex tasks. They're not a huge range of tasks that you can do with them, right? But they are very, very good at what they do and getting started very quickly. So those are tools that we recommend, even if we don't use them ourselves and we wouldn't, set it up ourselves. It is something that I do believe that many business owners should be looking into, because you can get a lot done for a very low price and with very, very low effort and complexity on your side, right? So it really depends, of what it is you want to get done.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I like your approach. It looks like very transparent and honest. Because sometimes when I spoke to different providers, they said, "Okay, we can do that. Of course, we can do that. We can do like everything," and you feel like you you just pay in money, and that's all. They like all they all they need is money. Yeah, so absolutely, it's a great approach. And Rafael, my last question would be about the idea of solo founder. It's maybe some like funny question. Do you believe that it's possible to create a startup and be solo founder, automate everything, and just go hiking or surfing and do nothing? Do you believe in that?
The whole part about hiking and surfing and doing nothing, no. I do believe that if you have put in the hours to build a company on your own, even with associates or even with other partners, it's because there's passion behind it, right? Obviously, we can get into the whole debate of the money. Obviously, everybody who tells you that they're not interested in the money, they're lying to you. Obviously, because otherwise you'd just you'd be a volunteer, right? At the end of the day, money is a means to an end. But if you're doing this amount of effort and working so many hours per day building this on your own or even with other founders, it's your passion, right? That doesn't mean that you shouldn't balance your life. And if you want to go surfing for a little bit, you should. I do believe that balance is the most important thing in life. It's very easy, and I've been there, just working, weekends, working every single day. So much pressure on yourself, and I've learned to sort of take a step back and balance my life a little more. um, and the whole solo founder thing, it used to be a red flag, especially for investors. Oh my god, you're a solo founder, you need someone to do this, you need to switch, you need someone that's opposite to you, as they say, that does a different side of the business. And I do agree. For example, I do have now commercial partners that have really changed my company, in the sense that like sales are starting to go very well, and we have some big signatures, as I've mentioned before. That's all thanks to commercial partners. But on the technical side of things, I am basically a solo founder in that sense. So I've built the entire thing by myself. um, I used to be just an AI engineer about 2.5 years ago. I'd say 3.5, maybe 4 years ago, I didn't know how to code. So I started coding 4 years ago, and I self-taught before ChatGPT came along. I self-taught Python, and thankfully, because otherwise I'd be too reliant on large language models to code for me and not really understand what's happening. And it's the kind of thing that really, I don't know, resonates with me, I guess because of my physics background. I was able to get into it really quickly. So nowadays, even solo founders are very sought after in the United States. I don't think the news has really reached here. In Europe, we're always a couple of years behind, but solo founders in the United States are getting a lot of traction, because you basically have a person who knows the entire application inside out. So if something breaks, or if something needs to be developed, some new features need to be developed, they can do it extremely quickly. I would say even faster than teams of like 10, 20 people, where there's a lot of communication. You need, the whole, you have Jira, you have this sprint methodology, which works very well, but it's still much, much slower when you depend on communication, you depend on other people to create features, than having a single person that can actually do everything. And nowadays, with the powerful large language models that we have, it's very, very fast. Development as a solo engineer is very, very quick. So I've done the whole solo founder thing, but I do agree on the other side of things that I needed commercial partners that have the contacts, have the experience in closing deals, and obviously I had to bring something to the table, right? Which was the technical side, the applications. You obviously have to bring value in a certain way. And very lucky to count myself very lucky to have these commercial partners that I really trust them, and they've helped me. They're helping us really grow together. So yeah.
Nice, amazing. And maybe last sentence to speak to the maybe startup founders who will listen our podcast. Maybe you can say them last something inspiring to them.
Um, I mean, I guess you gotta join the crazy club. You know, you gotta get on a boat and just sail the seas, right? And if that's something you're excited about, without knowing when you're gonna return home, if that's something that you're excited about, and go for it. I would say, I did a little bit crazier than usual. I left my job to go 100% on this. Perhaps don't go as crazy as that. Obviously, I'm very happy today, right? Because it's worked, but I would say maybe do a bit of a hybrid thing, right, where you have your job, and you can still, put in hours. At a certain point, you might have to quit your job. I don't really know how that's gonna go, right? But if you like adventure, if you're courageous, then go for it. You might sink your boat, but it was your boat, so at least you built it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Rafael. It was great
Thank
talking.
you, Rafael.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that was a great conversation, and thank you everyone for listening, and to those who are watching, thanks for watching. We will definitely be getting back online quite soon, and thank you, Rafael, for sharing all your insights and cheat codes. And just a one quick question from me before we wrap up. Where is your take? The founder is working on business, or the business should work on founder?
Can you? It's a. I've lost a little bit. Can you
Yeah.
elaborate a little bit
It's a
so
hard
people
question
that
after I ask, so relax.
business working on founder? What do you mean by that exactly?
Well, what I see that is nowadays, especially the AI buzz, puts a lot of pressure on people, and everyone is trying to deliver as fast as possible. And people are sitting in cafe at 9 p.m.
Okay.
Sunday trying to code something, and they're burning out. And I do have quite a lot of friends who are entrepreneurs who have big businesses, and they still always online 24/7 under high pressure. And there is the other side of the life, some kind of something that I call an unconstrained society. People who enjoy life while having a business, and this business is set up in a way that serves customers and solve problems of the customers, but still catering the founder balanced life.
Okay.
So where is your balance in this?
So I would rephrase it as like you either live to work, right, or you work to live, right? So
Yeah, you can say so.
right? So some people are their whole life is their work, and at a certain point, like if you enjoy it and that's what makes you happy, that's great. But as I was mentioning before, I think balance is very very important. I think socializing, sport, health is very very important. You can't be 24/7 behind the screen and working, even if that's your biggest passion, right? Eventually you're going to burn out. So I agree with having this balance. Working to live is a better approach than living to work. Otherwise, that's all you've got, and there are no certainties in life. So you might as well not put all your eggs in one single basket, right? Um, I think I've heard very good things of like Australia. That's meant like a mentality that sort of the entire country has. I'm sure there's extremes. Um, but I've heard very good things from the sort of the work ethic there, and they work to live. They work what they need to do. They do a good job. They're proud of it, and then they enjoy the rest of the day and their weekends, and they're not constantly with all this pressure of having to perform. And I think that's a great way to live. So that's what I practice nowadays.
Viva la Australia. Thank you very much, Rafael.
Thank you, guys. It's been great. Thank you for inviting me on this podcast.
Thank you.